All right. Welcome to the Board of Adjustments meeting for November 27th, 2012. Calling the meeting to order. Roll call of members. I'm Brad Walker, Chairman. Present. Mr. Jim Cecil, Vice Chairman.
Present.
Ms. Kathy Desider.
Present.
Mr. Bill Lee.
Present.
Mr. Mike Broke.
Present.
Mr. Willie Robinson. Absent. Mr. Steve McGowan. Absent. Okay. At this time, I'd like to open it up to public comment period. If anybody has anything to say for or against the Board of Adjustments, please come forward. Sign in up front, please. If you're here for a zoning review ID, you can wait for that ID and actually speak when that zoning review ID comes up. Thank you. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamie Bro. I'm here again this month as a representative for the neighbors of Beco Road and Gervis Sheets Road. Last month we were here in regards to a variance that was requested by Rebecca Riley. Y'all granted Ms. Riley the variance on her property, and in that variance she stipulated, or it was stipulated that it was not to become rental property. There were several other points that were mentioned during the meeting, but they actually never got put on the minutes that we got off the internet. So I'd like to, I guess, find out if does that make them null and void? First off,
Lindsay?
If a stipulation wasn't met or was violated, then yes, you all could consider having a rehearing on the matter. But what
you want me to
was
explain?
violated?
It only stipulates that the property could not become rental property. Right. Well, during the meeting, there were several other things that was stated that she requested the variance in order to subdivide the property so she could build her residence on one piece and have the other piece for her children. And that wasn't stipulated on here, that it could only be for her children.
Oh, okay.
And the other part was that it would also be for no personal gain. So the problem that we're having now is that as of September, I'm sorry.
I'm looking for the motion in the minutes to see what exactly the commission, what was the vote, and I don't see any of that in there.
It's page 3 of the...
Page 3 of the commission action.
Yeah.
You reduce the minimum rear setback line with the stipulation that at any time the lot or lots could never become rental property.
But you're right, we didn't say family. Yeah.
Her request was that she needed to subdivide the property so she could refinance in order to be able to build on it. On Saturday, let's see if I knew how to use this. Do I press something for it? Oh, it's up. On Saturday, November the 11th, you'll notice that there are 2 for sale signs on the subdivided property that were posted. This is a closer picture of one of them at the corner of Beco and Gervis Sheets. And there is a closer picture of the one in front of her mobile home that faces Gervis Sheets. There was a lady who contacted her in regards to the property. Miss Rebecca stipulated that there was definitely 2 pieces of property, and she intended to sell them as 2 pieces of property. And that she was not going to offer them to the neighbors because she didn't want to have anything to do with that. I'm here today to object to the variance that y'all have granted and ask y'all to revoke that and impose any fines against Ms. Rebecca for basically her lies to the council or to the committee. She stated that she was not going to sell the property. She wanted to subdivide the property for her own family, which obviously she's now got it for sale. And
Okay.
as of today, it's still for sale.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Kenneth Sims. I own about 1,000-foot frontage on Airline Highway in Bayou Manchac. And I happened to see this sign. Can you see it? And I would have never known about this property across the street from us if I hadn't have gone and filled up at the gas station and came back the other way, because it's pointed towards people leaving the parish. You know, instead of people coming into the parish, and you certainly can't see it across the street. Great signs, and I know that these signs are expensive because I buy some occasionally. They are expensive. Seemed like there's got to be a better way, and I'll tell you, if I had known 10 years ago that they were developing or wanting to develop apartments across the street, I would have gladly given y'all some sort of a fee or some money to cover a letter that would have been mailed to me. I'm right across the street. I'm not adjacent, as Mr. L. Brock said, you know, that he sent me an email that you have to be an adjacent property owner. I mean, that's 1,000 feet on Airline Highway right across the street. Simple letter. I would gladly pay for the letter and a fee to even pay for these signs. But I just happened to see this sign, and I'm really upset that for the past 10 years there's been things going on adjacent to me and then behind me. I've already talked to my neighbors today, 2 neighbors next door, Marston Feed and Seed, Railway Maintenance. They're all for me. They can't be here tonight. They're busy. One of them's sick. I want to talk further about this on number D, but I know these signs are expensive, but golly, make a bunch of them and charge us for them. I mean, we're across the street. Let's notify everybody. Before it's all over with, Mr. Shake Snyder back on Jefferson Highway might be giving these people an exit if they rebuild that bridge. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more public comment period? Okay, closing public comment period. Do I hear a motion for the acceptance of the minutes?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Got a motion to accept the minutes by Mr. Jim Cecil, second by Mr. Bill Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
I have a motion to accept the written decision of October 23rd, 2012.
Make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Got a motion to accept the written decision of October 23rd, 2012 by Mr. Jim Cecil, second by Mr. Bill Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain because I don't understand the request for a rehearing on that. Do we accept before we address that issue, or is that something that's handled through a different channel?
You talking
Lindsay?
about the comment period?
Uh-huh.
I think you accept the minutes if they accurately reflected what you voted on at the last meeting.
It's what we did.
Then I would go ahead and accept them. And if there is evidence that that appears subsequent to your approval of the minutes that shows that the applicant was deceitful to the board or commission, then we can handle it a different way. But I think tonight, as far as voting on your minutes, if they accurately reflect what you all said and did, then you need to go ahead and accept them.
Yep.
All right, well, I'm still going to abstain because I wasn't here.
Okay.
Well, the only issue she brought up that might have credence is that I don't remember mentioning family, specifying family. We said it could not be rental, but Jim, do you remember?
Well,
Well, what we can do is address it at new business at
let's
the
do
bottom.
that. Let's do
Because we
that.
got to bring it up as new business. If y'all want to bring it up as
Okay.
new business, we can bring up what we want to do with that.
Brad, she did mention that she wanted that for her children
Yeah.
when she
Yeah,
spoke.
that's
So
true.
We'll bring it up at new business and have discussion, and then decide.
I certainly,
what-
I don't want to accept the minutes and then it go away. So, we can bring it up as new business, like you said, and
Right. Well, we have to, looking at accepting is what we stated. Is the motion correct on what was stated? Now, what we have to do on the new businesses decide is what can be done after the fact.
Things were left off of the business.
Ma'am, we're right now, public comments closed. we have to decide at what can be done. I mean, the motion was made. It was a motion with rental property only. We don't put everybody at a lie detector up, on the front there. So it's happened before.
Well, the fact of it is, looking at the statement here, it's exactly what we stated. I said, and I'll reiterate from last month, that I said that I accept, but with the condition that it doesn't become rental property, because that seemed to be the problem in this particular case. Looking over at the woman, she acknowledged that it would be okay and she would accept that motion.
Right.
And so it's correctly stated. Now, who said, she said, whatever, some of that is missing, but then there again, if you notice that 1, 2, 3, 4 people that came up and made the discussion, each one of them had 3 minutes, and not three minutes of discussion in here neither. But you got to generalize. I mean, as far as the commission's action, it's exactly what was said. So,
Lindsay, you want us to hold off on that with discussion, or this is the variance, acceptance of written decision?
The variance is granted. You all granted that at your
That's
last
correct.
meeting. So if, like Mr. Cecil said, this motion in its entirety reflects what was voted on, not the discussion before, what the applicant or the neighbors represented. You have to look at what you all said at the last meeting, and if this is it, then you need to accept it. If there's something that's not accurate, by all means, review it. If you want to put it off to check it for accuracy, if you feel more comfortable doing that, do it. But if you're certain that it does reflect what you said, then I would recommend you accept it.
But we can still address the rehearing during new business.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
We can bring it up as new business, yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
let's do that.
Okay. All in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go to public hearings. Zoning Review ID 2269.12 for Lot 38 of Audubon Place for Brian and Melanie Bollinger, located on the east side of Korean Drive, approximately 250 feet north of LA Highway 935. Somebody here to represent this variance? Please state what you're trying to do, please.
I'm Brian Bollinger, and we're trying to get our variance on the side property line of Lot 38 changed from 10 feet to 5 feet. At the time we had our plans for our home drawn up, we were under the impression that 5 feet was what the rule was on it. And then after we got our plans drawn up and got the dirt built up and then tried to get our building permit was when we found out that it was supposed to be 10 feet. And so we're just trying to get a variance on it because it would cost us a lot of money and a complete redesign of our house to make it 10 feet.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah, how did you get the impression it was 5 instead of 10? Or?
That's just what we thought the restrictions were for the subdivision at the time we purchased the property.
nothing has been built yet, right?
No, we've got a dirt pad in place, but we haven't built anything.
And so the part you're requesting a variance butts up against the other 3 lots that would be their backyards?
Yes, it's their backyards, and there is a 15-foot drainage, but it's all on their property, so it would leave, 5 foot of our property and the 15 foot of their drainage on their property.
What is the width of your house?
I'm not entirely sure, but as it stands right now on the other side of our property, we have a radius from the edge of our driveway is, I believe, 22.83 feet before you get to the side of our house. So if we move it, it would really cut down on the turning radius to enter the carport.
Okay.
The map showing that the width of the house is 58.17
58.17.
That's,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
at the
right.
top. Anybody else got any
Yeah,
other
it doesn't
questions?
leave much room.
No.
Any other questions?
Doesn't leave much room.
Okay, have a seat. We'll
Thank you.
open up for public hearing for this variance. Anybody has anything for or against this variance, please come forward. All right, closing public comment period. Do I hear a motion? Oh, yeah, come on.
Sign in.
Reopening public comment period.
At least my math is real bad.
I have a question about potential drainage issues because of that.
Okay.
And it was just simply because if you look at this here, the house pad falls off on the property line. So I don't know how you can ensure they won't have drainage issues on the property of the three lots that are adjacent to it. And the drainage that he was talking about, the 15-foot, or for our lots, his lot and back are draining to a separate side. So I'm not supposed to have his drainage as part of mine. And I'm just concerned with the 3-foot high pad, 2-foot house pad on top of it, and a 40-foot roof line. How's that coming off of that roof not going to end up in my yard? And that's only my concern about it.
Okay.
So,
So where the white was is your property line?
Correct. And that's why I think I know that drainage, I was told, is possibly a civil matter, but I don't think I should have to sue if I flood because of it, if it can be an issue, it can be addressed up front.
so do you think 5 feet would be enough to?
I don't know. I think if it's drainage, if they're not concerned with drainage being an issue, flip the lot. Put the driveway on our side, and any potential extra drainage, let it be the other people's problem if it's not a drainage issue. That's what I'm saying. I hope that the drainage people, you guys, would look at that and potentially know what added drainage that would be. And if it's no extra drainage on me, I'm all for whatever it takes place.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there
Any-
some particular reason that the house pad was built up 3 foot?
Yes, ma'am. It's in a flood zone, and they have to be at that elevation to meet code.
Yeah, FEMA required us to build it that high.
Okay.
And on the way the dirt slopes on the side, that's not going to be like that when the house is built. We're going to build the house with a chain wall with a brick ledge going down the side, and so the slope will be very minimal on the sides when it's actually built. That's just necessary to get it built up that high to begin with, but they're actually going to dig it out and remove that in the end.
Is
Okay.
this proposed house going to have gutters?
We can install them. It's not currently proposed to be on them, but it's not that big of an expense to install gutters.
Okay.
Public comment period's still open, or?
Yeah. Anybody else? Public comment period. Closing public comment period. Do I hear a motion?
Well, you're gonna hear a discussion.
Discussion.
I
Don't matter.
do agree with the gentleman that was up here and worried about the drainage. But then again, according to my math, which I had Ms. Desideer double check me, that he did not going to have a big turning radius there at all. But then there again, staff had made a comment down here that give a variance of 2 feet. It's still gonna be tight even with 2 feet.
Lance, are these open drainage ditches or are they covered drainage?
They're covered on the
Okay.
side. Yeah, they've been covered. They're enclosed. They have catch basins
Okay.
along the
Catch basins along the
back, along the side. It's all
side
been-
right there
yeah,
where the
it's all-
servitude is?
Right. They're all been enclosed. They're all covered.
Yeah, it's right here, but I'm messing.
Okay, so there would be a catch basin on this 5-foot side that if we required him to put gutters and have it drain to the catch basin?
As far as I know, the the drainage that was put in there was put in by a previous owner. I don't know if it was even. I don't know. So I'm not gonna say if it was permitted or not permitted. I'm not sure. So if they have enough catch basins for the run that they have, I'm not sure. The previous owner that owns the lot may be able to tell you that.
Now,
Okay.
when previous owner that owned lot 38,
No, the previous owners that own the lots along the.
the 5A, 4A, and
Yes,
3A.
correct. That enclosed.
Oh, so
pipe.
these are their catch basins?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Where's the catch basin for 38?
There's no catch basin for 38.
Because the
Okay.
drainage servitude is on
Correct.
3,
It's
4,
on,
and
it's on
5.
other people's property.
That's the drainage
But
servitude
he
on that.
could install a catch basin,
Perfect.
yes or no?
Yeah, if it's not there. I mean, I don't know exactly where the catch basins are in relationship to where the house is, and how it drains. I don't know if it drains correctly at this time or not.
Okay, the person who owned the
Right.
other lot, the one that backs up, do you have a catch basin in your backyard?
Yes.
How far off the,
15 foot about off the property line, 12 to 15.
okay, so it's 12 to 15 foot off your property line?
That drainage is for my lot and
Yeah.
not for the lots behind.
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, the person who owns the lot, have you talked to anyone about installing a catch basin? Do you have any idea what the cost of that is versus the cost of changing this house plan?
No, I haven't talked to anybody about that problem at all.
Okay, because it's real close to that property line and that height. So what I'm trying to do is come up with a solution for you, but
I mean,
I don't want to come up with a solution that's going to cost you more than doing something different on your house plan.
I mean, there is drainage in the back of the property, in the back of my property.
The drainage in the back of your property, is that a catch basin?
No, it's open ditch.
It's an open ditch behind your property.
It goes all along the whole back of the subdivision.
Catch basins in there, the ones who wanted to.
Once upon a time, though, where them catch basins are was an open ditch.
Yes.
And the guy just filled it in with a catch basin.
That's
I
Yeah.
mean, that was an open ditch for that side, both sides.
Right.
Okay, can we make a variance but stipulate that either, the gutters will either flow to the back ditch or flow to a catch basin that he installs to drain to the back ditch?
I don't know if you want to get that detailed in your
No,
motion for that.
Okay.
I'd meet him in half. If got an issue, like Parish is saying 2 and he's saying 6, a 3 foot, and then let it
I
be
mean,
what it is.
you just split. what
Yeah,
you
splitting
split
hairs
it.
here. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll give him a little bit more, but I'm not even
Give it a
comfortable
little
being
bit
4
more,
foot
which
from my property
includes-
line.
Which includes gutters.
Mm-hmm.
No, which includes the overhang, I'm sorry.
The overhang,
Not
yeah.
gutters, I don't want to use that term.
Yeah.
So you're talking 4 feet variance?
3 or 4. Any more discussion?
I have none.
Any motion?
I'm going to make the motion that we give him a 4-foot variance. So we'll put him 6 foot off the property line.
Yeah, that extra foot makes the turn.
And no stipulation about gutters or drainage
No,
Just leave it
we
alone.
don't want to get into stipulations on that.
in the
I
sticks,
mean,
right?
I would hope that you put up gutters just to make good neighbors
Oh, yeah.
and have them flow somewhere away from his house.
I think the 4 foot, I agree with the 4 foot
Yeah.
because that makes it turn a little bit better.
So I mean,
Yeah.
you second.
I second the motion. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
All right, got a motion to approve this variance with a 4-foot variance by Miss Kathy Desideer and a second by Mr. Jim Cecil. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes with a 4-foot variance. Next zoning review ID is 2270.12, Lot 46 of Chase Court Subdivision, filing for Ricky Vito, located on the west side of Chase Street, approximately 1,000 feet south of LA Highway 621. Is anybody here to represent this variance?
Yes, sir. Good evening. I'm here to request a variance on my rear property. I have a 20-foot servitude, and I'm asking for a 5-foot variance for, I'm building a shop, a 24 by 24 shop. I presented a layout. Y'all have the layout of what I'm doing? Okay. And what it is my concern is, the reason I'm asking for the variance is I have a concern on building the structure over, how's this, y'all can see this picture? What I have is, I have electrical cable and telephone, and if you see the 2 pickets here, this is where I can definitely build it, but the 5-foot would allow me to position it here so I would not cover my electrical. And I'm trying not to create a problem area here. Futuristically, if something has to be done here, I don't want a structure over. So I have a 20-foot variance, and 20-foot servitude, and I'm asking for a 5-foot variance so I can position my structure. So that's what I'm asking for. Which would allow them 15 foot, which is very sufficient. I do have a picture to show you. Looking at the back, if you look at here, this picket and this picket, these two here is where it's actually going to end. And they have a drainage back here. It's called a swell. It's not really a ditch. There's very little. I've been living there 6 years, and I've had no issues with drainage. But it's that's the 20 foot, and I also have another 3 foot behind my fence here. So just letting you know, they would have all of this area if ever they had to. And not to say, I see something back there.
Okay.
I didn't do it, though. That's my neighbor.
Any board members have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
No.
Okay, have a seat. Open this up for public comment period. Anybody's got anything for or against this variance, please come forward.
You can sit up front, so you don't have to don't go back to your seat. Just sit up front.
Okay, closing public comment period. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we accept this as written, and grant the 5-foot variance. I agree that he shouldn't cover the utilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second
I'll
that,
second.
right.
Do not cover the utilities.
Okay, got a motion to approve as written by Ms. Kathy Desideer, a second by Mr. Mike Brew. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay. All right, you've been approved. Thank you. Zoning Review ID 2271.12, Lot 322, Keystone of Galvez, second filing for DSLD LLC, located on the south side of Palmstone Avenue, approximately 250 feet east of Timberstone Drive. Anybody here to represent this one?
Lee Foster with DSLD Homes. We're requesting variance on lot 322. There was a house constructed on lot 321 that encroached in the setback of lot 321. That house has been completed, approved, and sold. So to get that house in compliance with the setback requirements for the parish, we need a variance on lot 322, which is a vacant lot currently. And then there's a house under construction on 323, so it'd be the last lot in that section.
Okay. Why a variance versus just moving it over on an empty lot?
The setback requirements for the, I think it was a square footage size for the parish. I don't know the exact, I think Lance could tell you the exact. To move that lot line, it couldn't just be done, it couldn't be a lot line adjustment, it had to be a variance. It doesn't add any residents to the subdivision, it just moves lot lines, but
Who owns 322 now? Is it
322 is owned by us.
you?
That's the vacant lot, yes, sir.
Okay.
321 is the house with the setback encroachment that is sold, that we built and sold.
So 322 would not be in conformance with the zoning then if we grant this, because it'd be too small, right? Is that-
Correct. Yes, sir. Yes. It wouldn't meet the minimum lot size, which in that district or in that area is 6,250 square feet, 6,250. This division or this subdivision was given approval as a large-scale development, so some of the lots are actually a little smaller than what that is now. At that time, we allowed this type of lot to be created there with that minimum of 6,250. Now, with this house being constructed where it is, it's tilted, it's skewed, and with that being done is that when you take or add either side, you end up that lot to 322A ends up being not large enough square footage wise to meet the requirement.
So who made the mistake on 321?
Yeah.
It was ours.
So why not just split the lot or give it to 323 as opposed to coming for a variance?
What's that?
Why not split the lot or combine the lot with 323?
Well, that would be an option. That wouldn't be my first option.
Okay.
So if you build a house, it's not going to be the standard.
It's, so if we deny this variance, it goes to the court, I guess. Huh?
No,
Be worked out on.
it's up to them.
Up to them.
Yeah, it's up to them.
What's happened in the past is somebody just split the lot and made it bigger lot on both sides, or one of them bought the two lots together and put one house in the middle.
Well, my issue is that 322 will now be 44 feet wide. This is going to be, we'll either see the next person in here asking for a variance.
Right.
The house to be constructed, it's the last house of that section, so he's talking about splitting lots and giving half and half. There's not another lot on the other side of it.
Make
I
a
thought
nice
you told
park.
us 323 was on the other side of it.
And it's
But
being
there's a
built.
house constructed there. It's not a
Okay.
vacant lot.
And
If it was a vacant lot, would it?
is it already sold, or is the house up for sale?
It's constructed.
No, the house has been constructed, I understand
Yes,
that part. Do you still own the house that's on 323?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I don't know if it's under contract or not.
okay,
It is under contract.
okay. And your subdivision, have you provided any green space for
Yes,
the
ma'am.
neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am. There's a park in that subdivision. It's actually the Ascension Parish Recreation District now. They
Okay.
just finished the sidewalks into it.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Be a chance to.
Okay. Open up the public comment period. Have a seat, please. Open it up for public comment period. Anybody want to say anything for or against this variance, please come forward.
Hey, my name's Randy Settertall, and my daughter is fixing to close on lot 323 the end of this month. And I think putting another unit there, like you say, that the lot's not big enough to build the house the size that should be there. And I either kind of like y'all say, divided between two houses. There's a house on each side, or green space would be my suggestion. That's all I got. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, closing public comment period. Discussion, motion.
I will make the motion that we deny the variance. This was a self-inflicted injury, and 321 and 323 could be given a Merry Christmas or a green space. But I think that to approve it, we're just going to create further difficulties for the parish and the subdivision.
All right.
Agree.
I got a motion to deny the variance by Ms. Kathy Desideer, second by Mr. Bill Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion's been denied. All right, next zoning review ID 2272.12, lot B-1 for Octavia Cooper and Carrie C. Dixon tract for Nolan McKee Manchac LLC, located the east side of Airline Highway, approximately 3,100 feet north of Perkins Road. Anybody here to represent this variance?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I'm Jim Tatum. I'm with Tatum Engineering. We're located in Baton Rouge at 6920 North Merchant Court. And I'm here tonight representing Mr. John Nolan and Mr. Matt McKay, who are the property owners for this 23-acre parcel that we're requesting a variance on. Mr. McKay's here tonight, and also with us is our two representatives from Amesbury Companies, Robert Peak and Kurt Miller. These gentlemen are involved in apartment management and development. Mr. McKay and Mr. Nolan bought this property approximately 20 years ago, and as you well know, that entire strip, in fact, they bought the strip all the way from Bayou Manchac up to Perkins Road, and over the last 20 years, we've seen a grocery store go in, we've seen retail space go in, we've seen health clubs go in, we have All-Star, Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, the Prairieville stores in there, and then also there's a car wash, some storage, and also some additional retail space. We're here tonight to request a variance for the development of the Manchac Apartments, and they're located in that southeastern quadrant there at the bayou. We need essentially two variances here. One is to exceed the 48 dwelling unit total, and also on the maximum height restriction. We're asking to raise it from 35 to 43 feet. What we believe to be justification for these requests includes the fact that the property is currently zoned mixed use. It's in a mixed use corridor, and the definition for a mixed use includes your higher intensity residential and commercial uses, which this would certainly fall in that category. Of course, we're proposing a multifamily project. This particular property has utility infrastructure in place. It has drainage infrastructure in place. We feel like it's a good use for the property, given the adjacent uses immediately adjacent to it and just right down Airline Highway with the Walmart and the other retail spaces. The primary reason for needing to exceed the 48 unit limit is in order to have a first-class apartment project, you have to have more than 48 units to justify all the amenities that go with your nicer complexes, including your clubhouses, your swimming pools, your security, maintenance. It'll be a gated community also with 24/7 security. The infrastructure's in place to develop this property, and we believe it provides the highest and best use for the site. This particular project will be very similar to an existing facility in Baton Rouge at Segan and I-10 known as Tuscany Villas. The architecture will be very similar, the layout will be very similar, and the operation of the facility will be very similar. And if you've had the opportunity to visit anyone in Tuscany Villas, you know it's a very nice development. You have apartments with built-in garages, you have off-site garages, covered parking, and everything is controlled and gated, and it's a high security and safe place to live. This request that we're asking for tonight is not unlike a couple of other requests that have come through this board through the past years, including Lakeside Oaks at Old Dutchtown and the mansions at Ivy Lake. Both of these projects required variance from this board in order to be constructed, and I believe that both of those projects have been nice additions to the community. So we believe that our proposed project represents the highest and best use of the property, and we ask for your support to approve our variances. And if you have any questions or comments, I'll be glad to answer them for you. Thank you.
Questions from the board?
Yeah, drainage infrastructure, that's ditches already in place, or?
Well, we have sizable ditches along Airline Highway, and then we're immediately adjacent to Bayou Manchac, and there's an existing pond on the property which we believe was actually a borrow pit to generate dirt for Airline Highway when it was built back in the 40s. So we'll be able to use those existing facilities. We will improve them. We'll make them better, and we'll bring them to a level that where we essentially have zero impact on drainage in the area.
Okay. Traffic, have you estimated how many cars?
Well, we will be controlled by the DOTD's new access policy, and we've had preliminary discussions with them regarding the requirements. I would say we will be adding turn lanes and making road improvements along Airline Highway. That'll be a requirement.
Probably a light, I would imagine.
And if the traffic signal's warranted and required, we'll have to install it also.
And is any of this property considered a wetland?
Yes, ma'am.
How much of it?
We've had the Corps of Engineers perform a wetland delineation, and we actually had our wetland consultant was out there today, and he flagged the areas. Acreage-wise, I think it's only about 4 to 5 acres, which may be classified as wetlands. And there are portions of the property that are considered other waters, which we'll have to permit and we'll have to mitigate.
How big is the pond?
The pond's about 3.5 acres right now, I believe.
And then some of your units are very close to Bayou Manchac, which we already have issues with in this parish. How are you going to address floodwaters, rising water?
Oh, well, we'll certainly meet all the requirements for the minimum finished floor elevations.
So you're going to be hauling in a lot of dirt?
Well, we'll generate most of it on site.
Okay. By increasing the size of the pond?
Yes, ma'am.
Or?
The ponds and the ditches that run through the property.
What I'm saying is the pond currently is 3 acres.
Yes, sir, roughly. We'll know that shortly. We're going to begin our field surveying operations in short order, hopefully.
So that hasn't been done yet?
That hadn't been done at all, huh?
The field surveying portion of it?
Yeah, and he started on that yet.
No, we have not done the field surveying portion of it. But we have reference maps. We've relied on the LiDAR technology that's available through LSU and also our wetland delineation from the Corps.
Any other questions?
I just want to clarify that it says the maximum height restriction was raised in 2003 to 43 feet, and then you said you're asking us now to do that, so I guess my notes must be off, I guess.
Well, no, there was a request that was brought before this body back in 2003, and it was approved.
And it said we accepted, at that time, they accepted the variance request, is what?
Yes, sir.
So you've got the 43 feet already then?
Well, we wanted to be certain we didn't miss that. Thank you.
Is there any restriction on fire?
364.
Fire department, can they reach 43 feet?
I'm not sure, but what's going to happen is they're going to have to do a contract agreement if it goes forward, and on that contract agreement, it'll state in there what the fire, they'll go through the fire, and they'll have to put some kind of loop system or something in there that they'll have to approve, the fire district.
Okay, now these are going to be 3-story units?
Yes, ma'am.
Or, okay.
I'm not sure if it's in your package, but the package that we turned in included a rendering, an elevation view, and also photographs.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
It's beautiful.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have none.
Okay, have a seat.
Great, thank you.
Open up a public hearing. If you'd like to speak for or against this variance, please come sign in, please. Before we get started with the public hearing, I do have some emails that were sent to the Planning and Zoning Department. One by Mr. Kenneth Sims, entering in the public comment period. Oh, well, we got your email, so he'll speak that too. Jim Brew stated that he was against the variance. Didn't really safety and value was given. Next one is Stacy Aguilar. Just says they oppose. Greg White stated that he was against it. Stated several things. All these will be put into the minutes. Basically, traffic safety.
And drainage.
Drainage, sewage, utilities. Want to know about traffic lights? Are they being proposed? So I think questions that'll be brought up again also. Got another one by Danny Messenger.
Traffic.
His opposition based off of traffic flooding. Then we have one from Miss Charlotte Allen. It's opposed. Let's see. Trying to find a reason. Just basically traffic, because it's saying site plan only shows 2 traffic access points.
Access to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's all of them. That'll be put in public record. Okay. Patrice, you want to call the first name?
Kenneth Sims.
How y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing great.
Past 48 hours, I've tried to contact Mr. Tatum. I've tried to contact Mr. Nolan. I've contacted all my neighbors. Got great feedback from my neighbors. Great feedback from Mr. Brock. Haven't had a call back from these two gentlemen, or I don't know why. This drawing, this beautiful drawing here, that's not the drawing. That's from 10 years ago. Traffic problem, it says here, major arterial roadway. It's not a major arterial roadway to intensify the residential development. That's a bottleneck, big time, just like the interstate, highway, 73. These are outdated apartments. Can you see these? These are 10 years out of date. That's junk. So far as I'm concerned, I've seen way better than that. There's no swimming pool here that I can see. You see that? This is 10 years ago. This isn't what this man's talking about. The drainage coming across from next door through the highway right here. It goes straight through here with this ditch. All this blocks off this ditch. I see a bridge here. I don't know how that's going to work. It says utilities, Cox Communications. I can't get Cox. First class, what's the definition of a first class development? By their definition or your definition? What does that mean? I've only had this for a couple of hours, and I'm trying to go through this. No site has the attributes, therefore cannot be given a equal consideration in number 7 here. How does that work? I don't believe number 6 is true. I don't believe any of that's true. All of these documents showing all this, from what I can tell, this is 10 years old. You get a driver's license renewal every 5 years. Y'all are going to really let this go from 10 years back? It needs to be thrown away, start over. Traffic problem? At 7 o'clock in the morning, it's a 65-mile-an-hour speed limit. At Airline Highway in Bayou Manchac, between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, it's 6.5 miles per hour for a mile to Highland Road, and vice versa, trying to get back into the parish to get home. It's a bottleneck. It's a nightmare. I'm too upset. I can't talk anymore. I just found out about this, and I should have been notified 10 years ago. These guys don't even want to stop by and say hello?
Thank you. Next thing, please.
Mr. Robert Schicksnyder.
So my name is Robert. We actually own, between me and my mother and my wife, about 50 acres across the ditch they're calling a ditch. There's a cement ditch that runs from All-Star all the way to Bayou Manchac. We've had this property since probably in the 40s, I guess it is. My great-grandfather had majority of this property. The water, can show you a mark on the tree. Every year I put it from 91 before there, because I built the house on the hill approximately 11 years ago. My concern is where they built the last development part there, where the storage facility is, it's about 7 or 8 feet up on elevation. And if they keep coming with that level, they're basically going to put me in a bowl. I'd like to develop my place eventually, but at the same time, just because it drains, that ditch goes about 4 to 5 feet underwater when you have a flood, say the last storm we had and everything else. So where is that water going to go? It's going to keep pushing. My house is about 7 feet higher than anything's ever been back there, as far as the water-wise. So I don't know if that's going to push it up as much as me, because you're basically going to create a wall. The water's not going to be able to get back to Spanish Lake if they keep building that up. It's going to have to go on the other side, and it's going to come up close to the airline. I don't know if some of y'all have been around longer than me, but I've seen the water up where their first development was. There used to be a little park on the airline there across from the motel. Water has been in there before. So like I said, my concern is more the drainage, not for the variance of the height or anything else. In the wetlands, are they going to mitigate it, or are they going to have retention? If they're going to have retention, I'm okay probably with some of it. But if they're just going to mitigate it and build it up, I know some of the guys who I guess was doing the land work for them actually came to me. They would like to bought a 27-acre field behind there. And I know what they want to do. They wanted to dig the dirt there so they don't have to mitigate as much. I understand that. But by the same token, I want to know what's going on for the mitigation or anything like that before anything should be approved. And the land has to be approved to me before you get the variances. If you can't get through the core, everything, where elevation, and he said it's in wetland. Actually, Lance has got maps and all. The back part of my last 4 acres is in the wetlands, and it's probably 4 feet above what anything they have. So whether they're a wetland guy, because there's palmettos or whatever, they bring in people from out of state and everything else. I've seen it done before. It is all in wetlands. it will all be underwater in a flood. It doesn't matter. There's not any of it that's not going to flood. Like I said, so that's my only big concern. I appreciate y'all's consideration on it.
Thank you. If it can be 5 seconds, because that's all you had left on the clock.
The bridge at Bayou Manchac, I was talking to some surveyors about a year or two ago. They were doing a study because they want to increase the bridge size, and they're going to take 50 feet on their side and 25 feet on my side so that they can put a 3-lane bridge or a 6-lane bridge so that emergency vehicles can get through.
Okay.
Now, what that's going to do to all those interchanges and how far that's going to spread out, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Lisa Lusko.
Hi, I live in Belgrove subdivision off of Perkins Road. Good evening. Thank you for reading the emails. Many people could not be here tonight. And I do agree with the signage problem, especially at election time. There's Jeff Hughes signs everywhere that are the same color. And that one sign was not sufficient for such a massive change that is coming down the pike. If I have my numbers right, from 2003 to present, we're going from 48 units to 200, and now they're asking for 200 to 364. And we've gone since 2003 to 8 feet in height to 43 feet in height. So we're not talking about somebody's gutters or an overhang or moving 5 feet into somebody's property line. We are talking 3 times the units and 5 times the height since 2003 with these variances. When is enough enough? Or is it always to suit the developer's pocketbook? It always comes down to that question. Everybody can talk traffic. Everybody can come up here with drainage problems. But that's the crux of the matter here. And it always seems to come down to this. We're talking 500 to 700 cars on Airline Highway. I commute every morning at 7:25. It takes me 20 minutes to get from the corner of Perkins Road and Airline to the Albertson Shopping Center. Time it, do it yourselves. I suggest you do it. When you add 500 to 700 cars that will dump out onto Airline Highway, that is crazy talk. Now, we know apartments can go there. That's fine. But when you're talking about granting a variance, you're doing it to suit a developer's wants and needs over the citizens and the impact on our community. Apartments can go there. That's not what this is about. It's about the additional, the constant, the additional to suit somebody else's pocketbook. Now, this is not a pedestrian mall. We don't have sidewalks. The quality of life, when you keep impacting to suit a developer's what they call their needs, it's really their wants. And, of course, there are drainage issues. I've heard the no impact on drainage, and this is not a simple adjustment. This is something gigantic that you are on the cusp of approving, on top of what has been approved since 2003. Please take careful consideration of it. I know you will, but it's a big deal. And I hear you guys speaking about whether you should grant a variance for gutters. This is not something as simple as that. It's big, and it's big for our community, and it's a lot of people. And I would appreciate your consideration for the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, one more thing. If this is granted, they can also, if this is granted, it opens you up and sets a precedent for the open land that's across the street. We could end up with 2 sets of this on either side of Airline Highway if this variance is granted. You're opening up a door for 4-story apartment complexes on either side of Airline Highway. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I would like to agree with.
Come sign in, please.
Make you put your name in.
I'm sorry.
Just sign right there.
My name is Stacy Aguilard, and I also live in Belgrove subdivision. and I just found out about this a couple of hours ago myself, and I agree with everything that Lisa just said. As far as drainage, when Tropical Storm Allison came in, it flooded our whole neighborhood. My house was like an island, and I can't even imagine what would happen with that many people coming in. I really hope y'all do not pass this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Can I sign in one more time?
No, sir.
No, sir.
My name is James Kennison. I've lived on Jefferson Highway close to Manchac for 48 years. I was there in 1979, obviously, and again in 1983. That was the two highest water levels in southern East Baton Rouge Parish and North Ascension in my lifetime. And in both occasions, Manchac was completely out of its banks. It covered a good part of what's now Azalea Lakes. The property that they're talking about here was completely underwater. There was nothing that was not covered with water. So I would question, just like something that was mentioned earlier, you can't bring enough dirt in there, I don't believe, to elevate it to the proper floodplain. So I'm concerned about the water. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Closing public comment period. Do I hear discussion, motion, questions?
Sounds like drainage is a major problem.
Drainage
And
and
traffic.
the
And
traffic.
traffic.
Because I go in that area on a very high number of times. And the problem in that area is you cannot cross Airline Highway without taking your life in your hands to turn into anything, because cars are coming at a high rate of speed and they are nonstop. So I do think this does present a public safety issue, and I have a lot of personal knowledge of the water on this. And so I have an issue with us whether we're digging the dirt on the property or we're hauling it in, it's still going to impact everyone around there. And it's going to impact the people who even live there. Because, yeah, you can build the building up, and that all looks nice and fine when Manchac's not flooded. But what about the people who are parking in that area? And then if we have you build up the parking area, then we're even displacing even more water. So we can't lower the units. I mean, I don't have a problem with the height, but I do have an issue with us increasing the number of units.
And I agree with Ms. Desideer. First of all, my biggest problem here is, as it was quoted, we set a precedence, okay? That's one thing that stands out in my mind right off the bat, okay? Second of all, the height does affect me.
It does.
The 43 feet.
Well, the height has already been approved. It's already 43.
43. They're asking for 48.
They're asking for 48.
43 was approved.
No, 43 is approved.
It's just they accidentally accented it again, and it was already approved at 43.
No, I thought they were asking for 48 tonight.
48.
No.
No, number of units from 48 to 200.
It went from 48 units to
Yeah.
200.
Would you like me to?
Oh, yeah,
He's got a lot of numbers.
I'm sorry. But the height would make a problem for me, and the amount of units from 48 to 200.
Well, that's already done. So.
Yeah, I know, but Lord have mercy.
Well, and, We went from 48 to 200.
Right.
And if we raise it to 364, that's actually 7.5 times what it should have been. I think that
I think one thing-
Prairieville has a huge need for an upscale apartment complex.
Yes.
And I think at 200 units, you can charge enough rental income from the 200 units to justify the construction cost and the maintenance on people living there, if it's upscale enough. But to me, increasing the number of units would affect the people around in the surrounding community adversely.
Would you like me to address that?
Yeah, if you want to.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And a couple of things that and I'd like to get back to that point in just a minute, but a couple of things that I want to make certain we're clear about. We understand the concerns about the drainage and the flooding and the proximity to Bayou Manchac, and we take that very seriously. I'm an engineer. We've done residential subdivisions and commercial developments throughout Ascension Parish. And probably the largest one we've done is Manchac Place, which is right down there in the bend of Perkins Road, not far from this site. And it's over 400 lots. It's 420 lots, 421 lots. And we instituted and used engineering practice and design methods in that subdivision. We also used them in Jefferson Crossing, in Cobblestone Park, in Renaissance, and I'm missing one other one here, Waterford Lake. And we've had zero drainage problems in our subdivisions. We've had none. We've had not a single house flood. We've not had a single claim on any flood insurance policy that I'm aware of in any subdivision. And being the engineer of record, we usually are notified or somebody's contacting us about problems. But we've had no problems. I'm not aware of any. We would use those same methods and techniques on the development of this property. We may find that the 3-acre lake may end up having to be 5 or 6 acres. We may have to make it larger, and we will determine that in the final design process. Mr. Brock's office and the balance of the folks at DPW in Ascension Parish, they hold our feet to the fire on those matters. So, and we take the drainage very seriously because I'm personally responsible for it.
Well, with the drainage issue in the subdivisions that you've designed, they may not have flood problems, but they may have created flood problems for surrounding subdivisions.
No, ma'am.
There's several subdivisions along Old Jefferson that now flood that used to not.
It's not a result of what we did.
Okay, well, potato. You know, when you have people who've lived there 55, 60 years and never had water on their property, and suddenly everything's developed around them and most of their property is now underwater, then it is an issue. What I'm saying is that this map we got says that this is in Zone A and Zone X, and that the A zone is shaded. There's nothing shaded on this map, nothing.
Well, maybe it
So
didn't appear
there's
on that
nothing
copy.
to tell us how much of this tract of land is A and how much is X. I don't think that we can even make an informed decision based on that. And like I said, I pass by there all the time. I know what it looks like after a heavy rain. I know what Manchac looks like after it's flooding and going over its bounds. I mean, when you have all these people who have bought because they want to be on Bayou Manchac, and then for them to accept additional flood water because we've allowed someone else to truck in land or build up that number of acres, then we're saying, okay, we're going to give these people an opportunity to profit, and you're going to take their water, and that's not what I want to do.
Okay,
I
we
want to
don't
make
need it.
sure that what we're agreeing to do, and like I said, I don't really have an issue at all with the 200. I really don't, because I think that would allow you enough area to put in the retention pond and to make very upscale units and still make a healthy profit on it. But I do have an issue with us increasing the number of units.
I'm going to offer a different opinion than that, because I've seen in the Prairie area, living here all my life, on how some of the newer subdivisions are actually improving the drainage, on places that were flooding before and no longer flooding because of the new requirements of drainage on the subdivisions. The old subdivisions that used to just drain to the street, or what caused a lot of the flooding, but a lot of these new ones, after putting in a bunch of drainage on a business property that I own, each one of these parking lots you have here are going to have catch basins. They're going to hold a certain amount of water for a certain amount of time before they actually start flowing out, and then you're going to flow out to a retention pond. Okay, that's going to be 5-6 acres that's not there yet, now. So, I mean, I understand.
How big the retention pond's going to be.
Oh, I know. I mean, I wish this was a little bit further along on the plans.
Because he hasn't even had started that study yet.
Right. I'd like to see more, drainage plan type stuff also, on it. But I'm not saying that just because this is there, it's all of a sudden going to start flooding, No. I know a lot of people also like to say, oh, this is developers, okay? Mm-hmm. This is also landowner, okay? Exactly. One of these landowners has a significant investment right down, has a dealership right down there, okay? He is a landowner, and we also are strong property rights, Each one wants to do what they want with their own property, That is also, he's not just a developer, he's also a landowner, he's got investment. He's not going to build something a few doors down from a dealership that he owns that's going to ultimately tick off everybody around that area, So he's got an invested interest in actually making this a very good property, okay? The other thing, too, is I can see where you can get 200. You cut the clubhouse out, you cut a lot of this stuff out, and he's already approved for that. But, bring in Section 8 on 200 units, You can ask for something and you can get worse, if you don't, So, to me, I like what he's offering, a clubhouse and this type of, gated community security, things like that. I think that does enhance the area. I think a lot of Baton Rouge is going to buy into it and go back and forth in the Baton Rouge. You can ask for a bigger road for them to put it on than Airline Highway. It could be like some of the other apartments that go to a 2-lane highway, like off of Perkins Road, Old Perkins, or something like
73.
that.
And that's
73.
what was stated about the public streets, increasing congestion on public streets. And that was a big concern as well as the flooding. It's just not just flooding. And so, that you're adding up to 200 units. That's a whole lot of cars.
A sale at Walmart adds up to 200 units on Airline Highway.
Well,
exactly,
yeah, but
and that's
not
our point.
every day
I'm just saying,
and every
That's
morning.
right.
And I don't subscribe to the theory of, well, it could be worse. Well, that's, to me, is part of the reason that I'm here, is to make sure that Ascension Parish doesn't accept things that are worse and that turn out to be worse for the community. And I think, every landowner has rights. He has rights. I don't dispute that he has rights. I am all for him putting in an upscale apartment complex there. But the information that I have today doesn't make me comfortable with approving anything else. And I think that until I would see the correct information, see how much of this property is in Zone A, see what is going to have to be done and what we're creating there, I really don't think that I can say, oh yeah, I'm doing right by the citizens of Ascension Parish.
I do think that if they look at drainage and stuff, there is that possibility that if they do a drainage survey and you work it out, you may not get the
The 364.
units that you're looking. Yeah.
Well, that's always impossible.
I know,
That's
but
always
the issue is we would be
possible.
feeling better if this was basically almost a complete set that can just say, here, go, this is what we're looking at.
Well, and I understand, and we've got a little bit of a chicken and an egg here,
Yes,
in that
exactly.
we've got to get our numbers up a little bit in order
Right.
to actually construct a nicer and what I would consider to be a first-class multifamily residential development. And we really need to get the number up over the 200. So, Ms. Desideer, is there something that we could work to that would be a reasonable compromise?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what my compromise would be.
Okay.
First, I'm going to ask you to table this to January. And I'm going to ask that in January you come back and we relook at it. And that we have a flood map proposed to us. And we know more detail about how large of a retention pond you're going to put. And I would ask that there be a commitment made for a red light and turning lane.
Well, they can't determine a red light. DOTD has to determine a red light.
Right.
They can offer to pay for it, but
I'll
if
make
the
this
DOTD
commitment.
says they
We'll
can't
be
do
in full
it.
compliance with all the requirements that DOTD throws at us.
Yeah.
I understand
I can do
that,
that.
but I've also been a victim of some of DOTD's decisions.
Well, and
with-
DOTD may
and-
not give us a red light.
I know, but I'd feel better knowing that they've told you no. I just want more information, because where I stand right now, my next action would be to move that we deny it. And I don't really want to shut the door if you're going to show us that this can be done and not negatively impact flooding and the infrastructure that's already a nightmare. Everyone in this parish knows that if there's an accident on Airline or there's an accident on the I-10, we are at a gridlock. And we're not helping anything by putting more and more cars on there without doing something about the infrastructure problems. So what I'm saying is I'd like to see you address it, and I'd like to see you address what size the retention pond's going to be and how much of that property is in Zone A.
Okay, that's fine.
That's what I'm asking.
She's made, I'd say she made that a motion.
Well, I'm
She's gotta
asking
stay
him if he's willing to move this to January to provide us with more information.
Could I talk with my client
Yeah.
for just a minute? Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Is there anybody got a traffic study done? I don't know if 500 cars is a 2% increase or a 30% increase at that time of the morning.
Well, if you're going to have
Well,
364 units,
Yeah.
you're looking at a minimum of 2 cars to 3 cars per.
Family.
So we're
Unit.
continuing to add. We started off at 48, which
Yeah,
would have
yeah.
probably been about
It is a-
100 to 120 cars. Now we're over 1,000. So, I mean, I'm not adverse. And like I said, with more
I think
information.
You're better getting your drainage basically done better with the more units that they can get more money out of than
And
200.
if they can show us that they're going to provide adequate drainage, and we can see what part of that property is or isn't. I mean, saying that parts in Zone X and parts in Zone A, I don't know if it's just 1 acre in X,
Yep, that's true.
or
That's true.
if it's half the property in X. To me, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, Brad's point is that if you spread the fixed cost of the sewage and the drainage over
Right.
more units, then the cost per unit goes down.
Well,
Makes the rent cheaper.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
the
not only
biggest
that,
thing,
but to get it
biggest,
rented.
biggest thing I got a problem with is that none of these studies have been done, and that's what she's talking about too. She just wants the studies done so we can make a honest
Informed
decision.
decision.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue with the number. I mean, I understand going like to 275 or something like that would probably be okay, but you're really jumping up 164 units.
Because he stated, he
without
stated,
that documentation.
well, he stated that he's got a 3-acre pond over there. That's not even close.
Well, and I'm just telling you.
I can tell you that right now.
Do you know what they charge at some of these apartment complexes
Yeah,
already
but
named off.
$1,300.
And that's for one bedroom in a lot of cases.
Yeah, we don't know how many
but
bedrooms
I'm
these are, I
saying-
have no idea.
Well, I know, but we're
I
not
mean,
gonna
if
know
you
that.
have
I just-
364 units, even at $1,000 a month.
I can tell you what the landscaping is gonna cost on
Look
just
at
this
bedrooms
facility
per
alone.
building.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, just for
And I understand
landscaping this
that.
thing and maintaining it with a clubhouse in this size, it's gonna take a good chunk of change. And I understand why they're moving a lot.
I have several people that have apartment complexes.
But I get to me, I get afraid of what it can be done if they don't allow it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. We're discussing it.
What's the matter?
He was just letting us know we're on the air.
Oh.
Oh, I
said
knew
we're
we
just
were.
discussing
We're discussing
it.
it.
Yeah.
We do need this kind of housing, though.
Oh, like
my-
I said, I think it's a great ideal. I have no issue with the ideal. What concerns me is the effect it's going to have on flooding. I know what Belgrove subdivision looked like
Yeah,
after
I live
Allison.
there.
You
Well, I
couldn't
know,
even
but also-
drive into, you couldn't even go a fourth of a mile in the subdivision.
I know, but when Bell Grove was created, I can guarantee the drainage requirements weren't what they are now.
No, that's true.
Okay, on subdivisions.
Right.
I mean, look at the improvements that this drainage is going to do over here on the subdivision on 74 by the gas pump area. The amount of retention areas they're putting in that
Oh,
thing.
exactly.
Okay, that's actually going to help that area from that flooding.
Might want to give it time for them to come back.
But then they've got
So that's the number car.
garages.
Yeah, then they got garages.
Might want to give them.
Which aren't on any
Set
of
time.
those
They back.
pictures or photos.
We're still live. Go ahead.
Sir?
We're still live.
Okay, good, thank you. Thank you for the recess there. But we've certainly recognized the wisdom in Ms. Desideer's suggestion that we come back in January. And in the meantime, we will gather information, we'll supply it to your office, we'll supply it through Lance as it becomes available as it relates to the economics of the project, the drainage issues of the project, the flooding issues, the traffic issues, and other infrastructure measures. So we would respectfully request that we be deferred until the January meeting.
We got to make a motion.
I make the motion that
We
we
defer it.
defer it to the January meeting.
I second
And
it.
May I mention one thing? And I'm not sure if this applies to the Board of Adjustments, but I know that there are certain committees and boards that meet, and if they don't act within 60 days, it creates a problem. And I'm going to suggest here that we offer this deferral is at our
You would
at
have to
our
withdraw your
request.
application.
Is at our request, and that it can be, and maybe an opinion from the parish attorney's office
Lindsay,
would
would it be
allow
better-
us to defer it because we've requested the deferral.
He agreed to the extension,
Right.
so it's fine.
Okay,
Yep.
that's fine then.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna. I got a motion to defer
I'll
this
second it.
to January. Second by Mr. Jim Cecil. First by Ms. Kathy Desideer. All those in favor?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Motion
you.
has been put on the January agenda. Okay. Our last zoning review ID 2276.12 for lot A5A for the Tim Banker property for Ashley Bourgeois, Tordledge, located on the west side of Roddy Road, approximately 900 feet north of Bayou Northeast Road.
Hi, I'm Ashley Tordledge. I had submitted a letter to y'all, and it was about a hardship on my property regarding Rachel Piku and myself for medical necessity and financial hardships, as stated in the letter that I was submitted to your department. I've been a widow for 7.5 years, and Rachel Piku has helped me through everything. Rachel's also my late husband's and my children's cousin. We are asking you to please take this variance and hardship into great consideration because we're in dire need of each other's help for the purposes stated in the letter that was submitted to you as a whole department to decide on this delicate matter. Thanks for your time and consideration on this variance. Do y'all have the letter in front of y'all? Were y'all able to?
Yes, ma'am.
Do y'all need medical records or anything like that, or?
No,
Any other questions?
I have none for it.
Okay, have a seat.
Okay, thank you.
Open it up for public hearing. Anybody has anything to say for or against this variance, please come forward. Okay, closing public comment period. Do I hear a motion?
I have to make a motion to go ahead and approve as written.
I'll second that.
Well, that probably is a Kathy
Will
motion.
you add the stipulation that this
stipulation
does
that
not
this doesn't
become
become
rental
rental property.
property?
Can't be rental property.
And that if Rachel
Moves.
Piku moves or is deceased, that this be removed from your property.
Okay, if I have 3 children, like, if I have 3 children, then will I subdivide that and
Okay, I didn't hear you.
Wait,
Don't
come
say
to the
that.
microphone so we can all hear.
say if she does decease or anything, hopefully that does not happen. But I have 3 children. Could I subdivide my property and
Yes.
use,
And you
use
could
my-
also,
use it as a dwelling?
yes.
Technically, she could do it now, but we're
She
just
could-
giving a variance so she
right.
don't have to go through the subdivision.
Correct.
Yeah, I
And-
don't want to. Yeah, we.
Okay.
We're trying to.
The variance here is that it's not an immediate family member. If her child wants
Right.
to move on without dividing it, that could be done
Right.
Okay.
now.
Okay, so I got a. Who's claiming the motion, Kathy?
No, I was just adding Jim to
Okay.
add my stipulation.
Jim's motion is to approve as written with the stipulation that this cannot be a rental home. And if the person currently residing in it, are we saying currently residing in it and move it?
If Rachel isn't there to occupy it, then it could only be occupied with one of her children.
Family
One of
members.
her children.
Yeah.
Okay. Cannot be a rental home. It can only be one of her children or the Rachel.
Okay. No, I mean, I don't want rental property. Believe me, I don't want people in the back of my house. I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Second by, who's second it?
Mike.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All those in favor?
All right. New business.
Okay.
No, new business.
Old business, we don't have any old business. We got new business. Bringing up the issue of a variance where we feel that the person may not have told us the truth and what can be done on it. Lindsay, your opinion?
If
First?
she is found to be out of compliance with the motion, which I believe was, you stated it cannot be used as rental property.
Correct.
The motion didn't really say anything about selling it.
Yeah, the deceits. Yeah.
Okay, but if she made statements during her argument or request
Well, and from
that
what,
have found to be false,
That we made our
can
decisions
we
off of.
request a rehearing?
from what I understand, the plat has not been signed. We could, I'm not sure if the correct way to do it would be to have a rehearing, but it would be some sort of hearing before this board, and we'd have to bring her back in here, send her a certified letter, make her aware of the allegations against her, and then consider.
And can we be supplied a copy of the video from that
You can get that
request?
Yeah, it's online.
Okay.
It's
It's
on
online.
parish.net. You can
We have
review
it
it.
on-
We could probably have IT here to set it up if you'd like to watch it.
So we can rehear it?
Rehear.
I'd say let's put it on January agenda to rehear it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I-
There's no
I-
December meeting, is there?
I don't like the idea of somebody lying to us.
I don't either. She didn't say anything about
Well,
sales.
before we say that, first of all, we got to find out if she's lying.
Yeah, I
to
mean-
us. Okay, we don't know that to be a fact. The fact of it is that I made a motion that it would
I
not
do-
to become rental property.
I know, but I do remember her saying that she wasn't going to just
Right.
do this to sell it. I mean, I do
And-
remember her saying that. She's like, I'm here to stay, I'm just refinancing my house. I do
Well,
remember
I
those.
would like to put this, I'd like to move this to January meeting too, and so we can review the entire tape, or
Right.
the section of that tape.
I
And
don't really
all
wanna-
of us in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, I don't want to encourage people to come before us and tell us something that justifies their cause. I mean, we're not investigators, and we shouldn't be placed in a place where we have to investigate the validity of people's statements. So
Well-
I think it would be a good thing for us just to review it and
You know,
see.
You also have a representative out there for the neighborhood that supposedly that she said she would not sell it to anybody in the neighborhood because she's mad at them. I mean, that's he said, she said. So
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'm
not
just
worried
worried about, yeah, if she's got it up for sale, there's photographic evidence, there's for sale signs, and we can ask her why, because some of us may have made our decisions that she was going to actually be there for long term.
because she stated
For the
one
subdivision.
of the statements that was quoted here tonight was that she was going to put her children
Right.
in that particular trailer.
Well, can we stop the sale or
And
no?
that's when okay.
Well, there's no sale, it's just
No.
up for sale.
Well, I mean,
we
the
don't know, but,
process.
so we can remove the variance, and then somebody can't do, the only thing they can do with that front lot is put a trailer on it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to move that we place this on January's agenda, and that Lance provides her with whatever notice, and that we all come back in January, and we all view the tape, and then we can make a decision.
If she sells in the meantime,
Well, I don't think she can sell it in the meantime
She
as
can't.
2 lots, because it hasn't been,
The plat has not been
Oh, it hasn't been done.
submitted and has
Right.
been recorded and hasn't been signed.
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so what we're saying is we're putting a hold on that until January, till after the January meeting.
Okay, so the motion is to rehear zoning review ID 2262.12 for the Rebecca Riley property, for Rebecca Riley, to see if statements said that we based our decision on were false. We'd like to rehear that in January and have everybody present, and also have IT have a copy of the video on the statements that are being accused as being false. That sound good? And who made that motion?
No,
guess I
somebody in that
Jim?
side.
Jim.
All right, Jim Cecil second.
I
I'll
will,
second it.
Kathy?
okay.
Just 'cause I
All
don't
those in
want you to
favor?
say my name.
All right.
Aye.
Can we officially cancel
make
the
you
December
say it
meeting?
again.
It's Christmas Day.
No, I think there's nothing on the agenda. Correct. We
there's
don't have to
nothing on
officially
the agenda
cancel
for
it.
this
There's nothing on it.
No, there's no items on the for the December meeting because we had to move it up, so everything got the deadline date got moved back, so that would have been last Tuesday, and haven't received anything. As of
Okay,
now.
so therefore we are adjourned till January. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Merry
Motion.
Christmas.
So moved.
Jim, second by Mr. Bill Lee. We are adjourned.
Wow.